We are starting webinar, wall reinforcement for precast concrete in Revit. So my name is Valensas Balsevičius. I'm a application engineer here in aga-cad, and our mission in aga-cad is to build BIM together with our users based on their experience, create tools which will reduce stress. It will eliminate all the inefficient work. And we have a wide range of application, like for framing, for MEP guys, and for precast concrete. So we'll talk about wall reinforcement tool today. It could be purchased as a separate tool, or it's also as a part of a precast concrete solution. So we are industry partners with Autodesk for precast concrete. So and what we will see in this webinar, you will see some basic workflow, how to use wall reinforcement add-on and different kind of new features, and just examples of how to use it, where to use it, how it could be applied on different shapes and walls. So this is it. We'll switch to Revit now. Sorry, this is Revit window. Okay, this is my sample project. And what you see here on the screen now is Revit model. And then on the right side, you see tools for BIM doc. This is our solution to install, update, manage licenses of our tools. If you'll go to our web page, so you can pick any product from here, and you will see a free trial option. So if you select that, you will have options to download this tools for BIM doc and install it, and then get the trials of our tools if you want. All right, so let's go back here. So all of the projects available in this tools for BIM doc, you can select any of them and get the trial. So for example, if I'll pick precast concrete, it has all the different kind of tools inside, and one of them is wall reinforcement. So now how to start using these tools. You can access all the different commands and configurations of the tools through the tools for BIM doc, or you can click on this icon, and then the tool will be available like a palette here in a ribbon. So that's what I will do for wall reinforcement tool. It looks like this. And workflow of using wall reinforcement tool is that first of all, you create rebar configuration. So just open this window. After installation, you'll have only one configuration, default configuration, which is empty. But here you just save it with a different name, right? And then you define configurations, how and what kind of reinforcement do you want to create. Because I already have a lot of configurations here, so I'm just going to skip this part. But then you have walls in your project, and you can select type of a wall and link created configuration to the wall layers. So if I have wall which has 3 layers, I can assign to each layer different configurations. So you see one configuration for this layer, another configuration for another one. If I have just a solid wall, I can just pick one configuration, how the reinforcement will be created, right? So different elements has different configurations linked to them. After you linked configuration to the wall layer, you created your walls with some shape which you want to have, maybe placed a couple of connections or so. You can select those walls and say create rebar. So it will read what configurations should be applied, and then it will create reinforcement. So that's what I get now. So I get all of these different rebars just created and placed in my walls, right? So reinforcement is created. Then we have also options to modify, update, or update by wall link in this tool. So what's the difference between them and what you can do is that, for example, I will change this cutout for the wall, and then I'll select wall and I will say update rebar. So it will update the position of reinforcement in this wall. So you'll see that now I have just in this area rebars are extended. So I have these reinforcement just reacting to the changes of the wall shape. So that's the update rebar. Update by wall link, it means that it will delete reinforcement and apply all configurations which is defined in the settings here. So let me just select this one more time. And if I would say that, for example, I want to have only one configuration, and I will say update by wall link, so it will just delete those, and then it will just leave that configuration, just one, which I have selected now. All right, so that's, sorry, that's one of the commands. And then I have modify rebar command. So basically you can change something in the selected wall. For example, I pick these bars, I say modify rebar, and then I can say, let's say, just remove these, right, and save. So in external layer now, I don't have the bars, or maybe I can also do the same for the bearing layer of the wall, so you could see what's changing here. But basically, I'm just making changes only to this particular wall. All right, so that's the way you can use this tool. But let's go ahead and see what else we have. So what I will do, I'm just gonna remove this section box, so you will see that I have actually much more in this project. So how to create wall and wall shape, right? So you have like command to draw the wall in Revit. So you just pick the type of the wall and you just create it like that. And then to get the shape of it, you can use different kind of elements. So let me just delete that. But for example, here I just placed a door family, right, to place this opening. Then in this area, I just dropped the face-based family, which is cutting my wall, right? So the same here. Then I can also edit profile of the wall, so to get the shape of the wall. So again, the tool will work for that. Here I have window, right? So this is window family. Again, it's cutting my wall. So in this kind of way, I can get really different shapes of the walls and then start placing reinforcement for them. So yeah, different kind of situations here. So you shape your walls with placing some cutouts or families and so on. So you can do that manually by using Revit, or you can use Smart Connections tool from the Precast Concrete package. So it has like configurations where you define what kind of elements do you want to place and where do you want to place it. So for example, I'll pick these walls and you'll see how do I get the shape of these walls with this tool, right? So I just placed these by gravity point, these just distributed along the wall. Then I have some cutouts at the end to get this kind of shape of the wall, then place these connection loops and so on. So just to automate this process, but it could be done in both ways. So wall reinforcement tool work in either way. All right, so let's go ahead actually and see the possibilities, more possibilities of this tool, and let's go a little bit deeper. So we have rebar configuration, and we have different settings for external reinforcement, openings, perimeters, doors, corners, and also this one is under development. It will be available next week, but I will show you what's the idea of it. It's almost ready, so update will be released next week. So main reinforcement. So basically it's really simple settings. If I'll modify this one, you'll see I have two options for that, external or internal reinforcement. So basically you pick the size of a bar here. If you want to have hooks, what should be the spacing, what should be the layout option. So it could be from the start, from the end of the wall, or center it like I chosen here. And horizontal bars, the same idea. And then the covers. So here the cover for the side of the wall, to the side face of the wall, to the external side of the wall, right? Because I am using this one. These are like end offsets for the rebars. I can use also negative value here if I want to, right? And this is it, pretty simple like that. So I can just do something like this. So this is main reinforcement. Then we have perimeter reinforcement option. So previously we had like one of the options where you can, so you see here we have straight bars and then just a angle element in every corner. So we have these kind of situations like this, or just placing maybe L shape, depends on cutout size. But basically these settings look like this. We have modify, we have perimeter reinforcement, and then edge rebar. So we define what should be the size, how many of these bars should be created. Maybe it could be from 1 to 4 bars, depends on your size of the wall and reinforcement settings. And then there are some settings for this angle bar in the corner and some cover settings, right? So that's the way I get these rebars. Now, here you will see a little bit different approach. So at the bottom, we have always U-shape bar. And on the sides, I have just the straight bars. So you will see what's the difference here is that in perimeter reinforcement, we have this option, additional edge reinforcement. So here you can select how many of your rebars should be created, but we have more flexibility here because we can select the rebar size and also the shape and also the position. So it could be only on top, on one side. It can have some kind of bending distances, right? So based on these pictures, you see three of these shapes, and then you have covers and so on. And these are like similar examples where you can apply that, so you can have them lay out in a different way. So for example, straight bar, it could be used really like just some additional reinforcement at the edges, more of the rebars at the edges, or at the vertical only, or on the horizontal and top, and so on. So these are the settings, and I will show you a little bit later other examples. Yeah, so example here is that if we'll go to level 1, so typically you have like a mesh reinforcement settings, and then you have just the spacing between the vertical bars. But what if I have a strand pattern, like it's quite popular in the United States, that it's not equal. The distance between them is not really equal. So you can see that these vertical bars was actually created not with external reinforcement, but it was created with this additional edge bar. It's just that I'm changing the distance from the just from the side of the wall, right? And then I have some, so these are, I called these bars like a strand. Although they are solid elements, but I think that's good enough. And then I have some U-shaped bar at the top and bottom of the wall, and then straight bars at the left and right, and then just different diameter, right? So that's how I get these vertical bars here, and then I have these strands. And then this one, horizontal one, actually was created with our horizontal rebar settings. So it's also like a combination of reinforcement. And when you're done with your configuration settings, you can just apply that on other elements, right? So for example, I have this wall, I will say create rebar because I already linked configuration. And you will see here, I just have this distribution continuing based on my settings because I have just a little bit more than this narrow panel. So I get this reinforcement again quite easy, right? And then I have also some settings for the windows. So diagonal bars, just horizontal, vertical bars, and so on. Okay, so this is another example of these bars. Now, yeah, in this one, you will see that actually vertical bars are U-shape. Yeah, on the vertical sides of the wall, I have U-shaped bars. And straight bars are at the horizontal side. So that's another example of straight bars. Here I have also straight bars, like I said, that I want to have actually a couple of bars in the just in the perimeter of this wall. So you'll see I have 4 of these bars going here, and then I have 4 of these bars over here. So they could just be created in this way. If I'll go to this view, oh sorry, to the section view, you will see that at the bottom they are actually a little bit with different cover settings when it was on the edges. And then I also have these at the top, so just a different diameter and different layout. So all of these comes from again from these additional edge rebar settings. So I have straight bars at the left, right, bottom, and top with different kind of settings, right? So this kind of stuff I can create with this tool. And then, yeah, okay. So let's go ahead to other options. So these are the perimeter, like a quite new update, but then we have this, which will be released next week. So these are additional bars on the horizontal, vertical edges of your wall. So what you can see here, for example, I have placed this L-shaped bar, which is extended a little bit over the wall. And if we'll go to the settings, you will see that we have different kind of options here to place these bars. They could be inside the wall or could be extended, and then just the settings how they should be created, right? So for example, extend distance, if I'll change it and run the update, so you'll see it was just extended more, a little bit more, right? So one of the options here. But then I have O-shape bars. So again, I had this in perimeter, but I have more control now because, and to meet different kind of situations. For example, here I have O bars at the top, at the bottom, but U-shaped bars at just at the ends of the wall. And you'll see that O-shape was automatically reduced because there was not enough space. So I have a couple of options here. For example, if I will say that actually delete if there is no space, so it will just delete these bars which were under the windows and above the window. Here we have also the same option. So I have U bars, which should be created along the vertical edge. But then I said that actually if there is not enough space, you can create O-shaped bars, right? Or you can actually also delete them. So I can just remove these O-shaped bars. So it will be only available in the space required. So another option like that, right? If I have, if I have something like that, it has some searching options. So for example, it's searching like this. So if I'll say just search for a little bit lower, so you'll see that it was not placing over here because just I reduced the distance of search, how many of these should be placed. And here I have like a settings, like I have a cutout, and I said that I have 2 lines. So one is just at this cutout, and another one is at the regular position. So just to make it visual, maybe I can just change the size. You will see that actually this one, it could be controlled separately again if that's needed, or it could be the same actually. It doesn't really matter too much. Okay, so these guys, all right, so what I want to show you here, I have a wall like this, just a precast wall and some cast in place wall. And the shape of my precast wall looks like this. So again, I can use the same options just to have these extension bars, right? So I have this straight bar, which is extended with some distance and anchored with some distance into my wall. So it could be created like that. So on both ends, or it could be just at one end, right? So it's up to you how you will create that. All right, and we can do the same for this one. Or we can just simply delete if we want to, right? So different kind of ways. And this one is pretty heavy, reinforced element, right? So I have this one just U-shaped bars at the ends, then straight bars at the top. So I have two pairs of bars always at the top, sitting on the top of the wall. Then these are anchored on the top of the wall. Then I have diagonal rebars just in the corners of these walls, right? So it could be different kind of options here. Okay, and yeah, so when you create this kind of configuration, it takes a while actually to get all the cover settings. You know, you need to define what should be the cover settings for these, cover settings for these, and so on. And so they would not clash. But then when you are done, it's very good because you can replicate that on other panels. So I just have different sizes of the panels. I apply same configuration, and then just in a few seconds, I have all the same pattern, all the same idea of reinforcement. So I have these vertical bars here and so on. So actually, another thing about these U-bars, or the options, what we have for the placement of bars at the edges, is that you can define different kind of rules, right? So I need to have some dense reinforcement at the top and the bottom of the wall. So that's how I get these 4 dense bars. And then I have these with 400 actually spacing, right? So it's very dense at the top, it's very dense at the bottom, but it's equal just distance over here. And I have O shape and I have additionally U shape. So I have really flexible options here to make it work. And it's the same pattern is applied to all of these walls. So it's really quick after you have your configuration created. And because these are Revit rebars, so it's not a problem to modify them anytime. Then I have separate options for doors. We have options for openings, and then we have options for doors family. So if you are using door family, you can apply some special reinforcement for that. So you see I have, again, very similar to the previous, what you see, U-bars, O-bars, straight bars around the opening, and then diagonal bars, right? But what's the difference here is that you can create that only for doors, because previously it was like placing on all the, it was placing U-bars at all perimeter. Now it's, you can have more control for that. So I'll change that and I will show you a few of new options for that. So update rebar. So what will happen now, these O-bars will become U-bar because there is plenty of space. These are extended now to the wall edges, right? So you have options for that now. I mean, the length of a bar, it could be controlled by extension distance, or it could go to the boundaries of a wall, right? So you can choose these options. If I, for example, make it as an extension now, you will see it will just extend above the opening boundaries. So either way, you can create that. If you have window and door, so you'll have similar like this result nearby. And then another feature is that if we'll go to level 1, and here we have door reinforcement, and you see this is typical example when the door is a little bit off the side and so on. But if it's closer to the edge of the wall, so again, as I was explaining previously, if there is not enough space, you can create this one as a O shape, right? Create O stirrup, or you can just leave it as a U shape. But also you have option like if I have element here, right, and maybe I actually, there's still plenty of space for the U-bar, but maybe I want to have O shape actually. So I have option here that if the solid depth is smaller, smaller than that, so the U-bar will be created, right? But if I have this a little bit different, right? So you'll see that actually now it will create this O-bar. So I don't need to have like 2 U-bars in this kind of situation. So it will automate this process as well. So you can check the solid depth, and then based on that create as well O-shape rebar. All right, so this is the options for the doors, and then what else? So I was talking about these. One more thing about. Actually, I will go back to this first example I was using today. And yeah, let's go to the section. So you will see another option that this one, it can go through the full thickness of a wall, because you see I have two of them. One is in the layer and one it goes just through the full thickness of a wall. So how does that happen is that we have also option like this, that the cover will not be to the layer of a wall, but it will be covered to the wall sides, to the full width of a wall. So that's why I can use that for O bars or for the U bars, right? So for example, I will say that this one should be O bar. So let's save it. I don't know how you do that, but it could be like this, right? So I just define what should be the hooks and so on, but then I have these guys over here. All right. What else? So another thing is that we have corner reinforcement options. So let me show you this one. So we have walls which are joined. Actually, a couple of things will be maybe good for the cast in place walls actually, but some of them also is important for the seismic regions and so on. So let me show you a little bit about this. I have now created this kind of situation. I have L bar in the corner, which is symmetrical, goes like this. And then I have these horizontal bars. They are bended like this. And this one is also bended like this. So it's just that couple of bars going into the opening and so on. So that's how I get this kind of reinforcement, right? So let me show you the options here. So I have this L connection. So if the walls are joined, one is just going into another one. So we have outer corner, inner corner situations, and we can define what kind of rebars should be created. So this was one of the options, and I'm gonna just create a little bit more here. Just create like this. All right, so let's take a look what was. I see a couple of questions created, so I'll try to answer these, but let's take a look what was created actually here. So this is this kind of bar, right? Created based on my settings, this kind of bar, also just placed in the corner because it recognized this is a corner, because at the other end I don't have this kind of stuff, right? And over here I have maybe in the seismic regions, it's more popular to do it like this. So you have this kind of bar as well. And and here I have just cast in place element, right? And it was reinforced with O bar, and then these bars also, they come from this additional edge rebar. So I could have different edge covers. So I can control where they should be actually placed for these let's say 800 millimeter or 1 meter length cast in place elements. And here actually it's a little bit different. It's U bars extended, but this cast in place part is really similar. And because I'm just talking about seismic regions, I'm just going to create another option here. So in this case, it's the horizontal bars. They have hooks and they have extensions. All right, so that's the way. So now the question was like, which side of the wall is external or internal? So external side is external side of a wall is when you draw the Revit. You see these arrows, this is external side. If you go to the wall layer, you have like here, this is the center, this is exterior side, this is interior side. So it depends how many layers do you have and so on. So the shape of families, these are standard Revit families, I would say, right? Or if they are not standard, like this one, It was not in the library, so it got a different shape name, but you can rename it if you want to, and so on. So not a problem. So yeah, annotation, you can use Revit annotation to tag them. And all of these shapes or configurations, they could be used on multiple projects. So you create that once in one project, and then in other projects you'll just continue using them, right? So that's the options for the corner reinforcement. So let's take a look. What else do we have? Oh yeah, actually, let's go ahead and create some reinforcement here. So one thing about special parameter, what I would like to show you. For example, I have these elements, and I was using quite plain walls previously, but now I'm just gonna drop a couple of connection elements to these walls. And let's just wait for it. So smart connections will do the thing. So I don't need to do that manually. So it's just running through all the elements. So I have applied just two different configurations here. One is with loops and some grout tubes like these, and this one is with connections. And it really looks nice. I have these recesses. It's cutting my wall and so on. But what happens is that when I create reinforcement is that it will actually really will be very smart, and it will create short rebars in these areas, right? So because I have a cutout, and then the rebars will just be follow these cutouts, right? So I have a lot of rebars now created, this kind of rebars, and it's not always so perfect. I mean, sometimes you can just draw that you have a mesh and then leave the cutting out the mesh to the fabricators, right? The same here, the wall shape is like this. So if I'll create rebars, you see I have cut outs for the grout tubes. And so the software was actually, the result, it's even worse because it thought that this is opening. So it placed diagonal bars. These are just cut out, right? But actually on side, they would probably just move it a little bit lower, and then no problem here. So what you can do, actually, you can select the element, and you can add type parameter, which should be called in this way, and it should be visibility parameter. And if you will turn it on, so it means that the software will remove that family, place reinforcement, and here I go. So all of these elements, they don't care about this cutout, so they are created in such a way. And if I'll do the same here, okay, here I will just select this one, and I'll do the same. Of course, it's like depends on your workflows and so on. If you are working without, I don't know, paper, or if you are sending everything to fabrication, so it's not an option. But if you are creating drawings, right? So it's probably more reasonable to do it like this, because you have same size of the rebars and so on. So even if they go in this kind of way, you can in a drawing you can actually probably just say that you will just select these and just maybe change a little bit visibility for these, right? Like that, and just tag them in the view. All right, so let's take a look. I think that's what I wanted to show you actually today about this reinforcement tool. All right, good. So thank you for joining this webinar. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our newsletters so that you will not miss next webinars. Have a good day, and bye-bye.
aga-cad, building BIM together.